Hi, I'm Dave Fornell, the editor of Imaging Technology News and Diagnostic and Interventional Cardiology magazines, and I'm here at the 2014 Society of Nuclear Medicine and Molecular Imaging. And I'm here with Satoshi Minoshima. He is a doctor and a Ph.D. at the University of Washington, and he's also the chair of the scientific committee for SNMMI. And I wanted to talk to you today about some of the new technologies and also some of the trends and the big things that are being talked about at this year's show.
Mm-hmm. I think this year's show was really exciting in the way that in the Society of Nuclear Medicine we use radio tracer. This is really the foundation of the society, and we are seeing lots of new radio tracers coming into research and practice. And maybe I can give you a couple of examples, like Alzheimer imaging. There are many tracers now approved by FDA for amyloid imaging, but the new imaging agent called tau imaging, looking at the different types of abnormal proteins in the human brains, and this has been presented extensively in this meeting. And image of the ear that SNMMI actually gives one presentation, the most important presentation in this meeting is a tau imaging of Alzheimer patient. So you can see that those new radio tracers can really change our practice in the future by providing a new information what's happening in those human subjects and the patients. The other exciting development I would say is that those new cancer imaging agents as well. There are lots of discussion about how to diagnose prostate cancer and the cancer metastases. And there are new tracers which is labeled with F18. That's one of those radioisotopes that can be distributed widely. And using a PET imaging, we can detect those prostate cancer metastases much more sensitively and specifically as compared to an existing imaging modality like CT. So these are really exciting fields.
And this is the new Bayer radium tracer?
So that leads to this another segment of very exciting development as well. And nuclear medicine is not just using a radio tracer for diagnosing a patient, but also using a radioactivity to treat patients like cancer patient. So the radium is what we call alpha emitter. Really high energy radiation coming from this radionuclide can actually treat the cancer patient, and it became available in the United States for a prostate cancer treatment. So if you think about that, how exciting this field now is, we have a new agent to diagnose more accurately those prostate cancer and the cancer metastases. Now we have another radio, tracers to actually treat patients altogether within the field of nuclear medicine. So I hope you can kind of understand it's really exciting meeting this year.
What are some of the most interesting things that you've seen in the sessions this year?
We have more than 90 scientific sessions, so it's very hard to say to me. All the sessions are very exciting, but maybe one thing I didn't say here was that the imaging devices is also advancing quickly. And we had the dedicated session, and we're still having a session this afternoon about talking about PET MRI. So one of those most advanced imaging devices called positron emission tomography PET imaging, which has been used for cancer imaging, cardiovascular workup, and neuro imaging workup. Now it's combined with a magnetic resonance imaging, which is called PET MRI. And this really exciting device can be applicable to many research settings as well as slowly growing into the clinical applications. And we had so many presentations looking into this huge opportunity and potentials of MRI, PET MRI scanners in this meeting.
One of the releases that's coming from the Society this year is on cardiac imaging for PET MRI. And when it was first released a couple years ago, that modality seemed to be aimed mainly at the oncology market. And where do you think things will go with perfusion imaging?
So I think talking about this opportunity, PET MRI application to cardiology, of course, that's a very, very important segment for our practice because, as you know, use of MRI for cardiac workup becoming one of the major stream and emphasis in the imaging practice. And if you think about combining this MRI information to a PET information, basically information doubles. So there are huge potentials. Although I have to say, all of those new technology has to go through the period of implementation, evaluation, and of course cost evaluation as well. So these are all future agenda that we have to go through. But I believe that those advancements in the imaging is going to actually really help patient care at the end. So we'll see which direction this is going to go.
In terms of new technology, there's a lot of discussion in the sessions about CZT detectors and also some of the new software that's coming out, and also digital PET. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Right. So it's kind of interesting to think about that. You know, imaging devices has been advancing in the last how many years? 60 years. You know, history of Society of Nuclear Medicine. But those detection modules, I think that's something we don't see every day because within the camera is also rapidly advancing. And I'll give you one example, like digital PET. So now we used to use photomultiplier, you know, combined with a scintillator, but now it's converting to digital, you know, detectors. And the results, if you take a look at some of those images coming from a digital PET images, it's very, very impressive. And so it's an exciting time in the way that we are seeing more from those PET imaging and PET CT imaging. And we really have to explore, you know, how this potential can be applied to research and the patient care. So it's really exciting time.
And if my understanding is correct, with the gamma cameras, the original Anger cameras that came out in the late 50s, early 60s, a lot of the technology that's coming out now is really the first big quantum leap that we've had in this technology in the last 50 years.
Maybe you can see in this way, but honestly, I think in the last 50 years, there are many, many physicists and scientists actually worked on the different types of gamma cameras. So Anger camera is still a foundation of what we do, but there has been many extensive investigation in the last 50 years. And maybe I can say that strength of the Society of Nuclear Medicine is to work with those people who are actually developing devices and looking at, you know, combination with the new tracers and thinking about how we can apply this entire technology for the better patient care. So I think this meeting is very unique in that way.
And you had mentioned earlier about the tracers that are used for amyloid plaque and now tau imaging. Do you think the biggest barrier facing that is really going to be reimbursement from CMS?
That's right. So we have to work on that. Reimbursement, you know, is a very important thing because we have to think about how we can support patient, appropriate, you know, effort and cost. But what we can do, or what we are doing at the moment, is to bring the value of the imaging in the care of Alzheimer patient. And our role is really to represent what value we are bringing into this dementia care. And by using amyloid imaging and some other imaging technologies, we believe that we are contributing to the patient care and patient outcome. So I think we are in the process of developing a protocol to show how we can demonstrate the value of imaging in the entire spectrum of dementia care. And this is a really exciting endeavor, and it's a huge, you know, effort requires. But I think we're on the right track, and we're going to make it happen.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.